Entrepreneurs don't just take risks, they calculate them. So imagine you standing at the end or at the edge of a cliff, and then a thick fog covering everything below you. Your heart will pounce and you can't see the bottom. And my question is, will you jump? And most of the people maybe would say no. Because of what? People think that entrepreneurs look like this. Look like a reckless bravery, an act of a reckless bravery or a leap into the unknown. We can see if you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you will see some of this word. Unpredictable, risky, and a lot of different words that doesn't feel good for you. But what if I tell you that real entrepreneurs don't jump blindly? They don't just take risks, but they calculate them. And I also want to share to you today, it's not just about business, but it's also about all of your life. Yes, entrepreneur is bold. They move really fast. But every leap that they take in their decision, there's 1,000 of small calculations that they did, but most people never see. And what I share right now, it's also about your life. Because whether we realize or not, all of the things in our life every single day, we continually do a transaction. We invest, we're risking our life. If it's not just about money, it's about our energy, our time, and our emotion. So, I will tell you a story about back then when I was 15 years old. When I was 15 years old, I dreamed to have a small home bakery from my home. And then late at night, I always will scroll the Pinterest and save every gorgeous photos of packaging and also business logo. I imagine that customer will come to me, I will have a lot of customer and money will rolling in. But here's the funny part, I never started. Maybe for 2 months, I just developing the ideas, but never started. And then, maybe all of you or many of you, when you want to start a business, you will think a lot. You will doubt yourself. Like me. At that time, I asked myself, what if no one bought the bread that I make? What if the bread that I make didn't taste good enough? And what if I failed? Maybe thought like that will keep in your mind when you want to start business. But I'm really grateful because at that moment there's a person that told me, just start it, don't think too much. Because of that, I forced myself to act. I forced myself to start that business. For months after I started my business, I tried a lot of things. And I feel unstoppable until I buy a giant block of cheese, like this big. And I also stock up on some flour, sugar, butter, and everything that I could buy. But then reality hit hard. Because of what? Because some of my ingredients is already expired before I even can use it. Because of what? Because some of my experiments on baking, it ended up in the trash. At that moment, at that night, I just sat up and stared at those ingredients that wasted. And then after that, I realized in business and in your life, your patience isn't enough. And also, your feeling that you feel, it don't pay for your bills, and hope don't save your wasted ingredients. So keep in mind this, if you have hope, you have your feelings, and you have also your patience, it isn't enough. So what should we do? So I will say, calculation does save all of the mistakes that you will make in the future. So I also learned something really powerful from that small mistake that I make. I learned that every decision that you make in your life, it will face you two types of risk. Two types of risk, the risk that you see and the risk that you don't prepare for. We often to face this. Some of the risk we already see it. Some of it we doesn't even prepare to overcome it. But here's the three mistakes that we made in our life. First, buying too much without knowing the real demand. It's the first mistake in business or if you become an entrepreneur. And then the second is investing your energy without knowing the return. You're going out with your friend without knowing what insight that you will get when you enjoy that moment. You will waste your time or you will enjoy it. So you must ask yourself. And then jumping into something exciting without building a safety net. We will see in our life there's thousands of people who seem the boldest. They who seems really care about their future, who catch their big dream. But these people, this kind of people, isn't actually reckless. They are the one who counting the number silently. They are the one who prepare silently and calculate those things. And I would say to you that bravery isn't just being brave for looking and doing a lot of things, but real bravery means you prepare yourself for the risk and everything above you. It's not blind courage. So over time, after I failed a lot of times, and I make this decision-making framework that I call 4Ms. I hope that it can apply in your life, whether for business and also for your daily life. For the first one, so I will tell you and introduce you to my framework. First, market. I will ask to myself, is there a real demand? Is people willing to buy, willing to pay for what you created? In my business, I will start it with a small batch, and then I will watch which item sold out first, and then I ask for customer feedback. But in your life, you should ask yourself, when you learn about a new skill, you should ask, is this skill be useful enough for your life? Is there a real demand about this skill out there? Or it wouldn't be useful for your life? You should ask that. And the second of the 4Ms is margin. Maybe a lot of you, if we talk about margin, we're talking about money, right? Yeah, but here I want to tell you that margin is not all about money. It's also about your time, your energy, your mental space that you spend. In my business, my early business in bakery, I used to price my bread from the ingredients price. But I ask myself, how about the time that I spent to make that cake? How about the delivery time? How about the electricity bill? So in margin, we also should think about, is it worth the investment? What you give versus what the return? Is it worth it? Also, maybe some of you here is a college student or senior high school student. If you want to join project in life, you must ask yourself, is that project give you more growth than your exhaustion? Or maybe some of you come here with your loved one. You should ask yourself, is your relationship give you more joy or just draining your energy? Here, the margin I told you, not just waste your time with the wrong people, waste your energy, waste your mental space. So, entrepreneur thinks about, is it worth it? They not think about, can I afford it? So whenever you make a decision, you ask yourself, is it truly worth it? And then the third part is mitigation. Bad days always come, right? We cannot pretend because bad days always come. And also, the real entrepreneur, they won't eliminate the bad days. They won't eliminate the risk because risk always there. What they do? They accept it and they minimize it. In my bakery days, I would buy ingredients weekly, not monthly. So I will not waste my ingredients. And then I also have saving if there's some emergency. But in your life, what you must do with mitigation? You learn a lot of skill. So what? So one failure in your job wouldn't end your career. And this is the most important thing. You also should learn to be having an emotional resilience. So if you face one rejection, you will not lose your confidence. And the last part of these 4Ms is momentum. In our life, we build momentum. What is it? We ask, will this move me forward, even if it's just a little? At the time, I ask myself if this moves me forward. At my business, is our risk that we take is not pay off immediately. Sometimes, at the early time when I started business, I'm not gaining a lot of profit. But I learned how to talk with customer, how to handle mistakes that I make. So maybe it's not just about money. It's about the learning process. It's about experience that you take from that failure. And for this momentum, you should ask yourself, if you want to join something, you ask. If you join it and you failed, are you still gonna learn or is it useless? And then I will also told you about my experience. After I started my bakery business, I also expand my business. Now I have my confection business that producing uniform and jacket for organization. I also have food and beverage business that have a more complex logistic than that home bakery. I also started my real estate business, but the stages were high. One simple mistake that I make, it will ruin everything. It will cost me millions of rupees. And the wrong partnership, it will ruining my trust permanently. And one simple wrong investment in real estate, maybe it would make me bankrupt. So use the 4Ms. I use the 4Ms to learn the market demand. And then I do the mitigation. I calculating the margin and I look into the momentum that I have in my life. I also want to tell you all that you don't have to have a business to think like an entrepreneur. Because every day you already did transaction with your time, with your energy, with your love, and with your everything. You don't need to have a business. You already did transaction every day. And I will tell you about bravery. Bravery isn't a reckless start, isn't like you brave doing something. It's not like that. Real bravery means knowing the risk and then preparing wisely and moving forward despite the fear with calculation. So I will tell you again with calculation. Do everything that you want to do with calculation. Today, I'm here to shift your mind after this. So you will think and you will calculate every decision that you make. And I would say, make your decision wisely. And don't jump blindly. Don't gamble your future. And calculate your next move and then leap with confidence. Thank you.